Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Insight webinar, A New Decade, a Martech Rehash. Can authentic marketing bring back brand trust? My name is Jasmine Keys, and I lead the marketing chapter of the Insight Group at Reuters Events. I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce myself to those I'm yet to connect with. It's so exciting to have such a passionate group of marketing leaders joining the webinar today, and a special shout out to those who are coming along to the San Diego event for the Insight Marketing Summit West. This year has really been a flurry of registration, so thank you for building this community with us. Today, we are discussing the next phase of marketing, one where brands are purpose-driven, campaigns are truly data-backed, and personalization makes marketing valuable. However, right now, customer expectations are at an all-time high and brand trust at an all-time low. So the question is, how can we harness evolving MarTech more successfully, retain the human element, and authentically connect with our customers to set the scene for the webinar and start the discussion? We're opening a question to the audience via a poll. You should see this pop up on your screen right about now. And while you're answering this, I'd like to introduce 4 representatives of the Insight Marketing Summit. These leaders will all be sharing their insight at the 2020 meeting on May 14th and 15th at the splendid Mission Bay Resort and Spa in San Diego. Please welcome our panel. Erica Chan, Head of Brand and Marketing for Alibaba. Wei Jen Yi, Head of Data Science for Grubhub. Carrie-Anne Stimpson, Chief Marketing Officer for JMMB Group, and Erin Golden, Vice President Inbound Marketing for US Bank. Now, this is an audio-only webinar, so you can peruse the Insight Marketing Summit while you listen. We've just sent a link over so that you can have a look. Now, before we start the discussion, let's take a look at this poll and understand the biggest challenges that come with MarTech today. So we can see that retaining the human touch with automation is up there, but implementation, scalability, and internal collaboration is one of the biggest topics or the biggest challenges that our viewers on this webinar today are facing with MarTech in general. And I think I'd agree, and I think our panelists would agree, that this is a challenge that we're seeing not just within the audience of this webinar, but with marketing leaders in general. In fact, we do have a big piece on that. Carrie-Anne Stimpson will be covering a new internal collaboration method that she has been implementing at JMMB. But before we go into that, I'd like to now kick us off with Erin. We have quite a big question, and that is, what is the correlation between brand trust and the effective use of marketing technology and the resulting data? And from there, how can we harness evolving MarTech more successfully, retain the human element, and authentically connect with our customers?
That is a great question. It is a big question. You know, as a marketer, a marketing team or an organization, how you choose to employ your marketing technology can go a really long way to positively or negatively impact trust with your brand. This might sound a bit Pollyanna, and I am with the larger brand team, placed with the larger brand team at US Bank. So brand is always front and center in all of my inbound work. But if you are using technology and data in a way to improve your customer experience, make the process more efficient, or provide true value for your customer or your prospective customer, I think then you're well positioned to use that technology to deliver the better experiences, better brand messaging to the right people, and in turn, hopefully create and increase that brand trust. You know, as an example, where I'm in the financial services industry, the bank is obviously privy to information about its customers, but the utmost care is taken to make sure that much of that information doesn't get into the hands of people who are not on a need to know basis, which of course includes me in the marketing department, for better or for worse, of course, for better for our customers. So from the data we can glean from our customer data, our insights, and of course our marketing data, we make sure that we really take care in using that in ways that will create great value for our customers. So valuable insights that they're given within the confines of their logged in mobile experience, that talks about their spending habits, maybe helps them reach their goals, but will also include product messaging as it might relate to their specific needs, targeted messaging that helps assure someone who is applying for a mortgage isn't offered a credit product at the same time that could hurt their chances of getting that mortgage, relevant content served up in a way that can help important decisions, and personalized experiences with people in our branches, really connecting those digital and real world, and keeping the personal touches and improving our human interactions at the same time. So really taking that technology and bringing it back to the consumer and putting the consumer first in all instances helps us make sure that we are using that in a way that is going to help with our brand trust, while of course also benefiting us, right? Personalization and technology are tricky because brands can do more harm than good by using it incorrectly, sometimes than not using it at all. So it's not just about delivering the right message or delivering it at the right time. It's about delivering the right message at the right time. And if a brand misses the mark, that's going to grab a customer's attention, but it isn't the right kind of attention, right? It's negative attention. So we're at the point where there's no excuse for brands to be sending messages through channels that could be improved by technology and data that are off the mark, especially for brands where you have existing relationships with the customer. And customers are savvy. They're expecting the right amount of personalization without feeling intrusion. So as companies adopt this technology, you really have to walk that line. But I truly believe if you keep the customer first, opposed to maybe your products or sales goals first when employing this technology, you're going to be on the right path to effectively using that technology to help your brand.
Absolutely. Brilliant. And I, we hear a lot of those terms of the personalization and authenticity, just as you're covering that, which is such a big theme for the webinar today. I'd like to open the floor to the panelists now, to see if they have any examples or comments on this topic. Perhaps we can start with Wei Jan.
Sure, happy to talk. Yeah, I've had a lot of experience working in this area, and I think that there are two pillars to brand trust. One is that we do well, and the other one is that we do good. Um, Doing well essentially is being able to deliver the right product to our customers. For example, Amazon Prime can deliver packages to you like within hours. In some cases, and it's just amazing how well they keep in touch with you. Or like Google is able to like send you very nice personalized search results, and that technological excellence or that logistic excellence really builds a lot of like confidence in the customer. um, and the second pillar is to have like good corporate social responsibility, or like just to show customers that we mean well. We support the right causes and so forth, and that we really care about making the world a better place. And we have initiatives in both of those areas. Um, I think that recent events like with like data leakages or some other uh, things going on, and hate to say it, like sensationalist journalism occasionally might do things to erode trust in a lot of our top brands. Um, but I want to assure a lot of people that the people who are working on this, ordinary people like you and me, and we try to really send the best product out to our customers, and we're working 24/7 on that.
Absolutely. And I mean, we talked about this. It's about being purpose driven, and Google is a great example of someone who is, they do show their humanitarianism or what they're trying to push for, what their purpose is. It's not just sell, sell, sell. It's they're more than that. And we see a lot of brands doing that and achieving that, but it does come with, you can't just say that you're moving forward for that. You actually have to back it up, and that's where authenticity comes into it. And you can lose that and lose that brand trust very, very easily.
That's right. We have some initiatives here, for example, where we try to where we're trying to like feed people who are like not able to who don't have the resources to feed themselves with our No Kid Hungry campaign, etc. And as well, we're exploring options to reduce, say, the packaging necessary for delivering food to our customers. Lots of very, very smart people are working on those things.
And that is fantastic, and it is brilliant to hear that. That's the sort of thing that keeps your customers loyal or makes someone switch over to Grubhub rather than one of your competitors. We do know the race is on in the delivery world, so it's fantastic to hear that you are doing that. It really is that beautiful purpose-driven marketing and a brand. Does anyone else have any comments on this discussion? All right, let's move on to our next big question. So Alibaba, China's e-commerce giant, is now breaking into the US market, with Erica Chen leading the charge and the brand and marketing side of things. Especially in this geopolitical climate, it's been a year of building trust with a combination of online digital channels and personal high touch marketing. Erica, can you expand on the different tactics you've been using and how you are keeping it authentic?
Sure. Hi, everyone. And just to clarify, right, Alibaba Group is a big e-commerce and really technology company. And the part that I work on and sort of the efforts that are undergoing in the US right now is really growing the Alibaba.com platform. And the Alibaba.com platform is this online marketplace for B2B trade. So what we're talking about are connecting the business buyers and sellers, and these are people who are buying and selling wholesale very often across borders. And so as you can imagine, there are sort of various degrees of trust barriers that we have to overcome. First is really just building authenticity and trust within the Alibaba.com platform, so that buyers and sellers from around the world would want to use the platform to source and sell. And then second is, how do we help these buyers and sellers to build trust with one another? Because as you can imagine, right, in B2B trade, it's not a matter of I'm placing an order for a pair of jeans, and if it doesn't make it, that's too bad. But when we're talking about sort of hundreds of thousands of dollars in sourcing, and these are critical components that go into your manufacturing process, or if these are shipments that sort of fuel your retail sales, being able to trust the platform and trust your counterparts becomes super important. And so what we do and what we say we do at Alibaba.com is that we want to be an ally to the small and medium-sized businesses from around the world. And how we do that is really, we don't just say it and we do it. And a big part of what we do here in the US is making sure that everyone who works here, whether you are an engineer, a researcher, a salesperson, a customer service rep, everyone is part of the marketing and brand team. And we feel very strongly that whether it is our business model, whether it's our pricing structure, whether it's the new products and services that we develop, any sort of customer journey, customer experience tweaks, we do that with sort of our brand purpose and our mission in mind. And that everything that people do, we want to sort of make sure that we're not just saying we are an ally, but we are in fact an ally. And so a big part of that, right, is while we have technology tools at our disposal, while we have all the data to really understand what our customers need and want, we want to make sure that we add a human and a personal connection to that whole experience, even though we're in the digital age and even though we are actually a technology platform. And so one way that we do that is we go into the market and we meet with and connect with our customers and with our partners in person. And we also spend a lot of effort and resources in creating what we're calling build-up events. And these are networking events and workshops to connect actual buyers and sellers, to connect our ecosystem of partners and collaborators with our customers, with ourselves, to make sure that there is that human connection and that is that sort of face-to-face communication, because we do see that in B2B, that human connection and that personal relationship and trust are still very critical. Another thing we do to help build trust and authenticity is, instead of us telling our story in all of our communications and marketing, we used to have our customers and our partners tell the story. And really, for us, our marketing and comms is not so much about how great we are and what benefits we deliver. It's really having our partners, having the community that we're building, tell that story. And obviously, we're still in the very beginning, but we're trying very hard to really stick to that.
Thanks so much for that, Erica. It sounds like there's a lot going on for Alibaba.com. And I think that Erin has something to add. Erin, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, Erica, I really liked hearing you talk about striving to keep that human element in the process, because I think there was a time when so much was going digital for a lot of our products. Certainly in the banking world, we went through a monumental shift where people were going into branches and meeting with bankers on a regular basis, to someone who could have a relationship with us that was 100% based on their app and their digital transactions. You can deposit a check now through your phone, so that really took away the last reason for a lot of people to come into the branch on a regular basis, unless they were really having a major life change, like taking out a big loan or buying a house. So it's also forced us to think, well, we've used marketing automation technology and used Martech to improve our systems, improve the experience for our customers, take out some of the back end work for the marketers. It's forced us to think about new ways we can continue to connect on a personal level with our customers. And I mentioned, providing them insights earlier, being better about our in-branch and online connections. So when someone comes into a branch, that banker can really know enough about them to make a personal connection. It's been an interesting climate to be in, where we're so digital focused, we're Martech focused, but we're revisiting how we can maintain that human connection, because what we're hearing from data and from surveys and from customer insights is when it comes to their money, they don't want a completely impersonal experience. They do still like having knowing that there's someone on the other side of the teller counter or on the other side of the phone that they can reach out to and connect to when they're feeling uneasy about something with their finances. So it's an interesting balance. And as marketers, again, keeping that customer first and their needs first can help remind us that though we could go 100% digital, that might not be the right thing for all of our customers. That might not even be what they want, even if it's more convenient.
Absolutely. And what we have seen here, so at the end of last year, we actually did a survey of 5,000 U.S. small businesses who buy or sell goods wholesale. And what we're seeing is that actually for a lot of these small and medium-sized businesses, they are actually adopting Martech. They're going digital. But what we're seeing is that 2/3 of them actually have only gone digital within the past 5 years. So everyone is sort of, or a lot of people are really like newbies at this. And when we go out and meet with our customers and we meet with the SMB community, we see that people actually really value sort of being able to hear from someone else, like face to face or firsthand, what their experiences are when they go digital and adopt marketing technology. It's really reassuring, frankly, to be able to sort of share challenges and sort of tips and tricks. And we also see that, like, yes, while digital is this great opportunity, there is still a little bit of skepticism, and people want the support and they want the help. And so to the extent that we can help our customers navigate their uncertainty, the better we are at building trust.
Hi, are you there, Erica?
Yes, I'm done. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Carrie Ann, would you like to jump in there?
Thanks, Jasmine. I think all these points are great. And when I was listening to both Erica and Erin sharing their experiences, of course, Erin and I are in similar industries because we're in financial services as well. But when I think about this, I always go back to, I think it's very important for brands to, first of all, define how the human element needs to show up for their brand based on what their own brand values and purpose is, coming out of Wei Jian's point earlier. So there are some brands for which the human high touch element is going to be strong and powerful, like in our case at JMMB, because we're founded on the basis of love. So that human high touch connection is important, and maybe for other brands it's not as important. So I'd start there. I always recommend that brands need to answer the question, how does the human element come into what the brand stands for? And then on that basis, go right into your customer experience journey. Again, where does the human element come in? Where does it need to come into that journey? And of course, Erin knows this. I think she would have alluded to it earlier, that when you're dealing with people's money, it's not going to be always about the technology, and the digital tools that your customers want and need and happily use a lot of the times. You have to continuously be dissecting your customer journey to say, well, at what point is a human touch going to be important? So at what point do we switch off the chatbot or transition that chatbot conversation with the chatbot to an actual human being? So that would be my recommendation always. What does your brand stand for? How does the human element connect into that? And then dissecting your customer experience journey to know when do we need to put in those human touch opportunities there as well.
Brilliant. And I think that we know that automation and digitalization can save us billions, but without that human touch and that authenticity, you need all three. You need those pillars. So I think we're going to move on to the next question, which is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to successful implementation of Martech is a lack of collaboration between IT and marketing. Now, this came up in our poll, so I'm really excited to get Carrie Ann to talk about how her and her team have recently bridged the gap between these departments and strengthened their use of new tech. Carrie Ann, can you share a little bit on your Martech strategy within the context of how you are structuring your business to maximize Martech's place in enhancing overall customer experience?
Thanks, Jasmine. So the first thing I want to let everybody know is that it is a journey, and we are certainly not there yet, but we've made some awesome strides, and I'm very happy to share what we've been able to do. So as I said earlier, we're a financial services group of companies. So while we're headquartered in Kingston, Jamaica, which is where I am, we also have operations elsewhere in the Caribbean, in the Dominican Republic, and in Trinidad and Tobago. And what has been our experience in the past, which I think a lot of us here can connect with, is that a lot of the functional areas that are required to build into Martech and support the successful implementation and scalability of Martech we typically operated in silos, and that really mainly happens with marketing and IT a lot of the times. And historically, for a lot of firms like ours, IT was never naturally, with all the best intentions, never naturally set up to quickly respond to the needs that marketing had to remain competitive, through the adoption and use of technology, especially in the digital world that we're in. So the first thing that we had to do was look at, well, the relationship. You don't necessarily have to change reporting structures, but we had to look at, well, how are we relating as two functional areas. My CIO would always say, marketing, he and I are supposed to be best friends. Are we meeting very often? Are we just having, tete-a-tetes as often as we should be to talk about what's happening and to create that initial relationship connection? Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to avoid creating what is sometimes known as shadow IT departments in marketing, where marketing is trying to do what IT has the expertise to bring to the table to do. So we had to look at those relationships seriously. We also looked at, well, what kind of talent are we harnessing to be able to make sure that we're leveraging Martech effectively. So for us, and this is something that some organizations have and are continuing to roll out, these wonderful hybrid roles that bring together the marketing and the IT function. So for us, it was a marketing technology officer. As the name suggests, somebody with strong backgrounds in IT as well as in marketing. It may sound kind of weird to some, but it's an awesome role that helps to bring those two areas together and helps us to understand each other's languages and ensure that how we are rolling out and leveraging and sourcing the right technology or digital tools to implement our strategy is always there. So that has worked great for us. And generally, how are we just looking at harnessing the right marketing and IT talent all around has been critical for us as well. Another thing that we've been able to do is that we have sought to not just think of the conversation as one between marketing and IT, but it's between marketing, IT, and products, the products team. It's also between marketing, IT, products, and compliance. And I know, the wonderful love-hate relationship sometimes between marketing and compliance. But the reality is that, again, Martech can't be operating in a silo by itself. It needs to be brought up into the IT governance structure. And so, again, by leveraging the connections and the functionalities that these teams bring to the table, how are we working together tactically? How are project teams structured to ensure the representation of all of these functional areas and to ensure that everyone is incentivized to participate accordingly? And then finally, one of the big things that we're looking at and actively working on actually right now is not just Martech, implementing Martech to support external marketing, but implementing Martech to help us to become more efficient and effective operationally as a marketing team, right? So typically what has happened to a lot of us, including our organization, is that, the big thing is digital transformation and how are we implementing Martech, but a lot of the times we don't stop to think operationally, how are we set up to be able to move through that digital transformation? And for us operationally, we're looking at implementing marketing technology for project management and just really helping us to be more efficient and effective at how we work as a team operationally, so that no matter how our Martech stack looks externally for how we market externally, we are set up internally, operationally, to be able to do that. So I would say those are the big things that have really helped us to be much better at how we are leveraging Martech to achieve our marketing objectives.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Carrie-Anne. I'm really looking forward to hearing at the Insight Marketing Summit continuing to hear how you've bridged the gap and how that relationship and that new role strengthens your use of Martech and delivery there. And really interesting hearing you say that, because we actually have a very good example of that role with us today. Wei Jen is head of data science for Grubhub and effectively runs Martech for the growing delivery giant. So, Wei Jen, can you share a little bit more about your role and explain how you are building systems that are scalable, but also allow you to create highly personalized customer journeys? I really want you to bring us back to personalization, automation, and authenticity. Thank you.
So, to Carrie Ann's point about the shadow IT organization, perhaps we are one of them. My team is one of them. Um, the head of marketing here, Alex, essentially made a strategic decision to bring IT functions into the marketing organization. And in doing so, we could have like a more responsive and more like appropriate to the customer types of products to be delivered. We do a lot of like analysis of what marketing campaigns actually worked and to what degree. Also, we do a lot of our automated campaigns in terms of email, as well as search advertising and paid advertising and so forth. Um, so one of the things that we do here as part of our training in the marketing org and in the marketing IT org is we actually shadow a lot of the people within the company, like the different functions. Um, for example, we we actually go out and do deliveries so that we could actually experience what it's like to be a delivery driver for Grubhub. Um, we also shadow the care organization, so we actually try to get a sense of what it's like to work in the care center, handling phone calls, and also to understand what is like on the diners' minds. So we really tried to get a real sense, like of what keeps the different functions within the company up at night, so that we could deliver the best possible product. In terms of building scalable systems and personal systems, um, a lot of it is actually non-technical. Uh, Being an IT person inside a marketing organization is actually really interesting and fun challenge. Because you're kind of like the quant person, and you're dealing with people who specialize in more maybe like less quantitative, more qualitative, or more emotional values. So just building relationships among the different stakeholders within marketing, within creative, within brand is really key. What they bring to us is like the heart and soul and the feeling that we try to imbibe all of our marketing campaigns with. And what we try to bring in is like the structure and the rigor and the measurement methodology to try to create a discipline within that work, a quantitative discipline within that work. So it's actually a fun, interesting exercise that I look forward to every day. Um, so in terms of like everything we do, we try to measure, and when there are certain aspects that we find hard to measure. We try to do what's right by the customer and what just feels right to the company. Like if we roll out like a different creative for our website or for our email campaigns or whatnot, sometimes those things are hard to measure, or sometimes they're easy. If they're hard to measure, we'll deploy them. Um, a lot of times when we talk with our partners, we about like deploying new marketing campaigns, we do a cost benefit analysis with them. We let them know how much it costs to develop an MVP. We talk with them about how many customers each marketing campaign could touch, how unique the campaigns are, how automatable they are, and so forth. We're really looking for bang for the buck. And in doing this, we try to consider like potential trade-offs we can make to improve scale or automation or measurability without diluting the core message. Um, One of the challenges we have by the way, is that, as we have limited resources, but we want to have the maximum effect, is we generally report average performance to our stakeholders. Say, campaign A had a lift of, this many percent versus baseline. Um, that is like the most crude split that we do, and that's the first thing that we do. However, when we're comparing to average performances, we might actually lose a lot of this personalization aspect. Once we actually have a minimal viable product that seems like it has legs, that's when we start splitting it up into like smaller and smaller segments, including up to the segment of a single person, so that we could actually deliver that message that's hyper personal to each person. Anyway, let me pause a second, catch my breath and see if anybody else has any comments right now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Weijan. It really seems like Grubhub are taking a very customer-centric approach, which, yeah, really thrilling to hear. So we are going to take some questions now from our audience, but while they come in, I'll let the audience kind of bring in a few questions. I'd like to share a few quick updates on the San Diego meeting with these leaders. They'll be in attendance, but I'd like to share really in addition to these speakers, we now have CMOs and marketing leaders representing a great cut of America's most recognizable brands, including StubHub, Reddit, PBS, SurveyMonkey, UNICEF, Dolby, Intel, LinkedIn, and many, many more. We've just released a timed agenda that will give you a sneak peek into the types of networking functions and workshops every pass holder receives, including a pre-summit networking and workshops, yoga and wellness functions, 5 interactive workshops. We've got roundtables with experienced marketing leaders and even a women's leadership luncheon, which I'm very much looking forward to. And I'm just going to send through a code. We're offering VIP seating to those who register with the code very important web this week. So if you're considering it, we've just sent through a link to the audience. So you can use that link to register and just use that code. Now we've got a few questions coming in. Thank you everyone for joining the conversation. So to kick us off, a question from Chip Bell. How do you ensure that key stakeholders in your organization/company understand the voice of the customer? Now, Weijan, I think you touched on that maybe a little bit. Would you like to jump on that, or are there any other panelists that would be interested in coming to that question?
So, sure, I'd be happy to talk about that. Yeah, the customer is everywhere. CRM is everywhere, internally, externally, and so forth. And we do things at scale, and then we do things on a personal level as well. So, for example, we actually have ways to boil down what comes out on Twitter. We send out surveys and so forth, and then we actually read a lot of these, a lot of the comments that people have, positive or otherwise. Internally, yeah, we regularly have one-on-ones with our stakeholders, whether it be in finance or it's in brand or it's in engineering and so forth. So, we have to be vigilant constantly. And as well, as to Erica's point, Grubhub is a marketplace. We, our constituents are diners as well as restaurants, as well as drivers, delivery people. So we're constantly reading literature, and we're constantly talking with stakeholders in each of those verticals to make sure that we're delivering the best possible product.
Fantastic. Erin, I think would like to jump in on this one as well.
Yeah, at US Bank, we definitely have a lot of inputs for voice of the customer. We have a chief customer officer We have our customer service representatives who are great at passing along both the good and the bad that they're hearing from people. We also have a social listening team who, much like what Grubhub is doing, is always listening to the conversations around U.S. Bank in the industry as a whole, and making sure that we're reaching out to any customers who, again, are championing their good or bad experiences. That being said, it is a constant effort, I think, as a marketer, to make sure that you are checking in with those touch points, because as much as the organization can make it available for you, it still takes some work on our end to make sure that when those reports are coming out, when our daily, we're sent daily updates along with the hundreds of other emails we're getting every day, right? So I made a pledge about a year ago to make sure that I am engaging with the insights that are coming out of the customer teams as much as possible, and setting aside time each day to read those reports and to see what customers are saying. Because again, even if there are people within the organization who are doing the work, it's up to each and every marketer to make sure that they are listening and taking in those insights. So it's just really best practice, I believe, as a marketer at this point, to make sure that you're putting that first or making it a priority in your daily work.
Brilliant. Thank you all for your insights on that question. We have so many coming in. It's fantastic. One of them here from Simon Hinks. I constantly see marketing principles today being applied through new technology. Would you say the world still responds best to the right proposition at the right time through the right channel, or have things changed?
Can I jump on that, Jasmine?
Absolutely.
Great. So this is a great question. And I mean, in my view, I certainly give due respect to the fact that I think there's still a place for right proposition, right time, right place, and then the right target market will come. I think that's kind of a timeless principle that will always be with us. But from where I sit, I think that in the highly competitive world that we live in, I don't think that that's enough. I think while that principle might generate the kind of sales you want to see, because what you're essentially doing is executing promotions along those lines, for me, I think what's really going to make the difference for brands who succeed or businesses who succeed is actually taking it a step further by connecting with your consumer on a much deeper level, right? So it goes back to what we're talking about today, authenticity, right? So if it's really just about delivering a value prop, right time, right place, right person, you run the risk of looking like everyone else, right? And running a similar kind of promotional message that could almost be considered average or common. But if you are a brand that has been already well defined, you know what your values and your purpose is, and you allow that to come through in everything, in your customer experience, leveraging Martech to get that through to the target audience that you're speaking to, I think what you're able to do at that point is to really connect, as I said earlier, on a much deeper level. And I think that's what's really going to make you stand out. So it's not just enough to have a great value prop. It's about creating that deeper, authentic connection that will force people to kind of, or not force them, but certainly strongly encourage them to get behind your brand and drive the kind of loyalty that you want to see.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Carrie Ann. Erica, would you like to jump in? We've just got a minute to go.
Yeah, and I would just want to second that. I think having the right value proposition is obviously important, but I think building trust takes multiple touches and it really requires time. And I think especially for us, when you look at sort of the sales cycle and sort of how often a customer would actually like interact with our platform from like a sale perspective, that's actually pretty infrequent. And so for us, it's like, what are the other opportunities, the other things we can build into the customer experience to make sure that we're, in addition to delivering our core value proposition, how do we keep that conversation going? What are other ways that we can deliver value so that they so that our relationship is not so transactional, right? So that we can actually develop a relationship and trust over time. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And that is just about all we have time for. So thank you so much to our panelists. What fantastic insights. And to our audience for joining the webinar and asking such thought-provoking questions. There are lots more questions to be answered, but I think we'll have to answer them at the Insight Marketing Summit. It is on May 14th and 5th in San Diego. My name is Jasmine Keys, and if you have any questions about the summit or would like to see how you can get involved, please email me on jasmine@insight-group.com or ping me a message on LinkedIn. Always happy to hear from you. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next time.